Anyway, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. I know the focus is on yourself, but when you're facing a team that's lost 5 straight and has a lot of players who are injured, do you have to guard against any sort of letdown in any way? And what do you look for if you do?
Well, to me, it's the National Football League. It happens every week. I mean, there's some team that maybe coming off a bye week or coming off an earlier game and it has a little more rest than the other team. I mean, that's a big part of the journey. But I think when you look at the way they practice on Wednesdays and obviously the number of players they have on their list. I don't put a whole lot of time into it, frankly, because just as you started your question, it really is about focusing on your own team. Because the only thing that matters, we need to go in there and play our style of football, play to our plan, and every game is very, very difficult to win in this league. So, regardless of what the health of any team.
So before we start talking, how did Zeke come out of practice yesterday? And he talked about the long game and thinking about the playoffs and as you guys make the decision toward the end of the week. Can you just expound on that?
Yeah, I think all those conversations are obviously part of making it a good decision. But at the end of the day, Zeke has a long history here. He has a long history with our training staff. We'll take the right steps. He'll start today just like he did yesterday with Britt, and we'll see how it goes. But the work was good. I thought he had a good day of practice. Was hitting the holes. I mean, you didn't see a whole lot. As far as there was no concern. As far as his body function and his mechanics and all those things you look for when a player returns. So we'll just take it day to day. I mean, this will truly be a day to day and. I think like anything, we're in tune with what happened last year. It is a different injury, but I think it's just like anything. We don't want to get in a spot where he was last year.
Jory?
Mike Jory, Upstanding After Sports. You've been doing your quarterback school and variations of it for a lot of years. When you think about starting it off and with Aaron, what you guys did versus what y'all are doing now with the Cowboys, how has it evolved over the years, and how does that reflect how the game has evolved?
Well, I mean, quarterback school was really developed in the late '80s, early '90s, and really went all the way up to 2011. With the first CBA took us into this new off-season format, and that's really frankly outside of the games, personally was my favorite time of year because it was an opportunity for you to spend Monday through Friday with the quarterback, because usually your off-season program always starts in mid-April, but the quarterbacks would come back mid-March. So you had 20 opportunities to go in and just have all the conversations schematically that you really don't have time in a normal off-season program. So, and when you look at part of it's kind of what we talk about a lot of here with the offensive line development, but if you look at the position in the game of football that requires the most, it's the quarterback position. So, when a quarterback goes out to practice, he has to go work with the running backs, he has to go do some work with the tight ends, he has to throw to the receivers, and then, next thing you know, he's in a combination period, and then he's in team. So when do they get to work on their fundamentals? So that was really, a key component of the quarterback school. So that was I would refer to those years as real coaching. That's when you're able to really coach the quarterback the right way. And actually, Aaron's the last quarterback that I had that went through that. And we just always had a lot of success through the years with that format. And it was really the chance for particularly a young guy that you go through the first year in the league and he's just trying to figure it out, and then you can go back to A through Z and really define everything. Really get in tune with their footwork, the throwing profiles, the footwork profiles, and just really, break it down to a gnat's ass and really get into the specifics of how what you're trying to do fits their body type, heighten the mechanics, and it's something that I know I personally miss. Now the way we do it today is, and Doug does it. He does an excellent job running it. We do it before practice, so they start a little earlier than everybody else, and then we have a post-practice regimentation that kind of carries over. So it's obviously changed tremendously because it's obviously about time.
Mike, Haley Sutton.
That's a hell of a filibuster right there. We done? Can I go now? What?
Mike, Haley Sutton, DallasCowboys.com. I read a stat that said if you win on Sunday, you will have won against every team in the NFL. How difficult is that type of accomplishment, and what pride do you feel in knowing that you could be able to accomplish that?
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I haven't thought about it, but yeah, I'm all for it. So let's do it.
Is it challenging though? Like, is that something that's common?
Well, do your research. I'm not sure how common it is. I'm sure there's been some, big time coaches out there, that obviously coached at two places. So I'm sure it's been done before. But yeah, that'll be cool.
Hey Mike, Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Kind of a two-part question. First being, how does Barr look as far as potentially practicing today and keeping on Barr, whether he is able to go or not? Can you talk about what he brings in his recognition of having played against Aaron Rodgers so many times in the Vikings uniform?
I mean, Anthony's an extremely, obviously gifted football player, but very, very instinctive, very intelligent. Really gives really good insight to what the opponent's doing. Obviously, he's played a lot of games, not only in that stadium, but against the Packers. Those are the conversations you have early in the week, particularly when someone has experience about the opponent. I know Dan has had that with him, so. It's something that was a big part of it. Obviously he would love to play this week, but I would put him at best in a limited practice mode today.
Todd?
Todd Archer with ESPN. We've asked you so many times about the receiver spot and if you get this guy, what you're going to do. But you guys have become kind of tight end centric with your guys. Can teams be that way offensively?
Tight end centric. Can you define that for me? Yeah.
Well, you run a lot of. You ran 0-3.
Oh, you're playing more?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're taking over. You're great. You guys, good team here. You guys do a hell of a job. But the thing that really to pay attention to, because this is the way I look at it, is when you have the 48-man roster, we've been going with 21 offensive players and 24 defensive players, and by design and certain things, particularly special teams, because that plays into that. But when you do have the ability to get to 22 players, 23 players on offense, it definitely gives you more personnel flex. Because I think I would think most offensive coordinators do this. It's not something I've discussed with other people, but I think it's common when you sit down in a game plan. If you're gonna, if your primary personnel group is going to be 11 personnel, you don't want to just be going into the game with 4 receivers, or 3 receivers, because then one play, then you're out at 11. So you obviously want to play with the schemes that you practice all week. So and that's where the third tight end, the fourth tight end, that's a big deal. So no different with running backs. So that when you look at how many running backs they have up, how many tight ends they have up, how many of the receivers they have up, it kind of tells you the ability of the offensive plan. Now you can still go into the game with three tight ends that have a bunch of 3 tight end offense. It's I'm not saying you don't do that, but a lot of things as far as who plays on Sunday, it has to from the head coach perspective is assessment of risk. And that's all part of the strategy of this game.
Do you look at your tight end group as all 4 of those guys as similar, or do they have different skill sets that you can do different things with?
Yeah, definitely. I think they're all a little different, and that's what you want. If you don't want to just have 4 tight ends there, traditional Y can only play on the line of scrimmage. I think just like anything, the thing I always look at players, especially in the evaluation process, is they got to be able to do at least 2 things. As far as the primary position that they play, or bring another element on special teams. So. In the tight end positions, it's really heightened there. And obviously you want the guys that can play on the line of scrimmage. Obviously, can they block a defensive end? Can they give you something from the backfield? Are they a matchup challenge if you put them in one spot? Obviously, they have to play from the 3 or 2 spot to be an effective receiver in this league. So, all those things go into the evaluation process. And then, and most importantly, they got to be the right kind of guy, because tight ends, next to the quarterback, the tight end job responsibility is probably next. As far as I think just like anything, the closer you play the ball, you normally have more responsibility from an assignment standpoint. And if you look at the tight ends, what they're asked to do, they're obviously primary contributor in the run game because, everybody, when you build a run game plan, you're trying to attack the C gap. Well, where do they line up? Well, they line up, in the C gap. So they're a primary component in the run game. Obviously, their position flex and their ability to play in protection, and then obviously the passing game is it. So they play in all three phases from a primary focus, and then obviously their body type for special teams is ideal. So, very important position.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. We got two for you. Noah and Donovan, are they on the same plan for today?
Yeah, pretty much. And I thought they both came out fine yesterday, so they might even do a little more. But yeah, it's you set a plan during for the beginning of the week, see how they go through the week, and they both hit the target yesterday.
Receiver wise, how would you assess where you guys are production wise?
Well, beauty of bye week. I'm on my game self scout wise. So you want to throw numbers, throw them. But I think the biggest thing when you look at our offense, the first stat is really, was it 68 plays a year? We were last year. We're only at 58, 59 right now. So so that right there is going to take the stats in a different direction. So when you look at efficiency and what you have to consider, the offense the last month it has really picked up. So and that's really part of the message for us. We need to continue to build off the efficiency because I think we're at 38% third down, but coming off a game where we were 90%. So it's and that was big in that game. But obviously Chicago ran the ball very well against us, and our defense was on the field a bunch. And that's also happens too when you take the ball away. So field position, all those other things flying. So my point is just I understand it's a great question based on the statistics. But you just got to look inside that and make sure you're highlighting the right things that we need to do. And we've been more efficient the last couple of weeks, and we want to build off that.
Mike, you coached Jeff Saturday in 2012. Why did y'all decide to bring him in? What did you learn about him when he was there, and what went through your mind when he got this interim job?
Jeff was, he was someone that, we desired at that time. We just lost Scott Wells to St. Louis, bless you, on a free agent contract. Jeff had, obviously a lot of success there in Indianapolis. So, he was a veteran, and that was really, that was really something we really never did. That was one of the few times that we went that route. But yeah, very knowledgeable. I think he definitely would be impressive if you had a chance to be around him from a leadership component. I think he's good, especially in a room full of men. And obviously this is a big task for him, and I wish him luck.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. Going back to special teams, when you look at the Packers, that was obviously an area they addressed in the offseason because of some deficiencies last year bringing in Bisaccia. But beyond your long history with Mason Crosby, what do you see when you look at the Packers teams? Yeah,
Mason's still doing an excellent job, and obviously Rich going there, you can see the shift in their philosophy. Just obviously with the free agent acquisitions they made for special teams, that's something that wasn't done there in the past. So I would definitely categorize them as improving, from last year, and so that's always going to be a big challenge for us.
Hi, John Michaud, The Athletic. When your birthday falls during the season like that, have you ever been able to actually enjoy that, or is that something you have to wait and celebrate in the off season?
Well, we don't have to wait to the off season, but no, it's November birthdays. I'm kind of used to it. Midweek birthdays are a little tougher, that's for sure.
Any big plans today?
No, I'm going to enjoy peace and quiet tonight because the family's already headed up north. So home alone, loving every minute of it too. So that's what 59 does for you. So yeah.
Mike, is Dak still wearing tape on the thumb? Is that something he probably wear the rest of the season?
I don't know how long he'll wear it, but there's obviously I think just like anything when you go through rehab and the things that you're accustomed to and so forth. So there's a purpose for it, but everything just as far as the way the ball is coming out of his hand, I think he's clearly back to normal.
All righty.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
I was getting ready to get there.